There's a thing called an electron recombinant, and it's actually more prolific than a spike protein because it handles at a more accurate scale and conducting its procedure. And if I know anything, it's that a common cold, it includes making your temperature rise. It skyrockets because it tries burning up the bacteria. The fantastic thing with plasma is that it too has an extreme amount of heat in order to achieve its existence. So the early universe was very hot, and then that's where the early plasma was. But it's fantastic because you can make plasma, and you shouldn't, no, don't try this at home, kids, because plasma is extremely hard to contain. It's harder than battery acid. But when you see like a battery break and it's letting out battery acid, you're supposed to be nowhere near that. A plasma battery, which there's, they say that there's like plasma ionized batteries. I think that's more in the line of it, but the ion batteries, when those suckers start leaking, it's like a lot worse than regular battery acid. Plasma is able to get made, even though the plasma of the early universe has already cooled down. You can still make the plasma, and that is actually like dialing in a phone number and calling up the early plasma from the early universe and having a bit of it exposed. So you're reaching back in time and touching the early plasma by creating it. And this is what high rates allow you to do. So the name of the game is making plasma without it being dangerous while making it, and then not having it be dangerous once it is exposed. And in doing this, I think is the best way to combat archetypes, where you can then start connecting dots and drawing circles and making Venn diagrams of comparing the common cold or cancer to what the early plasma entails, and show the weak points comparative to the early plasma, comparative to the cancer or common cold. And this would be where you would find the bee's knees of the bug, and then with the bug's bee's knees you could then start decapitating it. Kind of what killer bees do to honeybees. They decapitate the honeybees' heads. And how curing a common cold, well, it would allow the bug to have its legs cut off. So ostensibly, if you solve a common cold, then it's not going to have the mucus to infestate other people. And how the cold spreads around is it uses a mucus with the germs in the mucus, the coccus, as they call it, the streptococca. You know, these words like that mean pneumonia, and that's what the common cold has, where the bug is, it uses it as its legs. So it says you talk a big game and you're choosing to drain a swamp and expose all these bugs. Well, that's not with, I'm just saying that's the starting point, how you get your crosshairs lined up. Now, in order to take action, you would have to do solving the common cold or curing cancer. Now, which one would be easier? This is step 2. Why you would want to cure cancer is that this would expose how the bug spreads and replicates, because a cancerous cell is very similar to how the bug entering the cell replicates. Well, the cell, if it has cancer, would be doing a growth that allows it to grow more and more, and it's growing more and more because it's replicating itself as the cell division it grows a tumor. Oh, and that's what I meant with the thing when it rips, it's got two jagged edges. This is an allegory for like the actuality in things. Like a bird, it's able to fly because its wings flap. If you take away the ability for the bird's wings to flap, it's no longer able to fly. And this can be with bugs. What gives the bug legs is the sickness. It's able to move about because people have the common cold, and that's what allows it to go freelancing. And that's what this one girl in college, I was like walking down the hall and she was in the hall, and then she goes, and so I turned and looked her square in the face and I said, ew. I'm pretty sure this is like a universal law. So if you're draining a swamp, and if you drain the entire swamp all at once, and the bugs aren't, dead yet, they just aren't allowed to be within the swamp muck, well, those suckers are going to backlash and have something probably even worse than the swamp. And this guy is getting heated. His back feathers were sticking up as he was making that noise at me, and that means that he's ready to attack. Just like dogs, when they get angry, their back hairs stick up and they're ready to attack. And so that's compensating with the anger in their mind. They're bulking up their body to look like meaner. And so this is like in jail too. There's the guys who work out to make their bodies look really like big and strong, so you are scared of them. But those guys, that doesn't mean that they're good at fighting. It's you're working out for functionality, or you're working out for big beefy aesthetic. Another thing with monkeys, or apes, when they're trying to attack, before they do, they make all this rustle in the trees and shake a whole bunch of trees as they're charging, in order to scare the opponent as to them being bigger than what they actually are. And humans do this too, and so that's why I don't like it when people cough when they are just scared of their surroundings. And it's great that people do realize that the bird dung, and they've gone ahead and it looks like power washed it, but it still has remnants of it. And that's just like a scar when you tear a rip. It's not going to be clean cut on both ends like with scissors. It's going to have rips on it, and you put that together. Look at these geese. They think that I'm like cool because they're slowly, oh, this guy has a bad leg. Buddy, what happened? We'll get you looked at, but I don't think that. So when birds are hurt, or any animal, they get more aggressive. And so that's just a tactic in their natural instincts to look at all this. God damn, you guys have been bloated, dealing with indigestion. So yeah, here's the thing with being embattled. When you're embattled, you have like a disability, and it could be physically or mental, but then other parts of your body get enhanced. And so this is where I felt like bad saying that people have to deal with what God gave them, and because he never will give you something harder than what you can't handle. And I felt like bad saying that, and so I'm here to like humble myself and say that, like, if you are embattled with whatever, then here's what happens. Your body actually has more of an ability in different parts other than your weak part. When a mother has a child, she gets really good hearing. And this is really fantastic, because when a mother does have a child, her body is giving up part of her cells to the baby, and she's able to like also regenerate and like get back from that. But just because she's losing all this stuff, she like gains better hearing. And so then with other people, like this movie in Rookie of the Year, this guy, he breaks his arm, and then as his arm is healing, he's able to throw the ball exceptionally fast because he has a little like muscle that is snapped, and it snaps each time when he throws the ball. And that's one way that his body compensated with a break. The muscles tightened, and since he was young, he was able to compensate that with the snap motion of his tendons. And bugs. If I have an instrument and I do the right angle, because when Jesus was born, he was born in a manger and it was full of animal dung. And then when he died like a bloody death with like all this like savagery. It just doesn't seem plausible that saying to end all bugs and drain a swamp like could be done just like that. Like that would backfire, you know, if like it's too good to be true scenario. But in any case, if you can't drain the swamp entirely, just enough to expose the bugs that, you know, that are hiding at the top layer, and then have that entail threats that are deeper inside of the swamp. That's probably the best way, just to meet it halfway and then drain a little bit more and see what these bugs have, and base it off the bugs at the top to get down into deeper where the more dangerous bugs are, and just do that each layer gradually rather than just draining the entire swamp and having all these bugs fall down. That seems as though it would calibrate all of them together to be a worse problem than initially.